Should I be in here?
A few people want to say a few words. I know 4 of them, and if anybody else would, you can let me know. But Dr. Joel Schoen has been a friend of my dad's for, I don't know, 5, 6 years. I think he'd like to say something.
Well,
I think it's embarrassing.
it's not that I like it, but Mary Beth needs it. Well, she asked me.
That's the feedback I got from everyone.
So once I started thinking about it, it wasn't too hard to come up with.
Don't forget
something.
payback.
I did remember that Mary Beth asked me to write something for Steve's party, but I couldn't recall if it was supposed to be a funny anecdote about Steve or a happy recollection, or if she just said roast the SOB. Anyway, I just figured I could cover all with this. A long time ago, when Steve, and I'm reading it because I wanted to be as accurate as possible because, you know, memory fades, details get fuzzy. A long time ago, when Steve was much younger, about 50% younger than he is now, we started playing very competitive racquetball with each other. I was only about 45% younger than I am now, which just goes to show how much faster he's aging than me. But I digress. Here is my racquetball tale of Steve as I remember it. His version, which hopefully he won't have time to share tonight, might differ slightly from mine. So here goes. We played pretty much regularly for a while, and each of us had our own style of play. I relied on quickness, strategy, and an intelligent approach to the game.
And cheating.
Steve...
And multi-bounce, too.
You'll get your turn. Okay. Steve, on the other hand, was just an animal on the court. He had a sweeping swing born of his tennis endeavors and blasted the ball all over the place. Often the bazookas that sprung from Steve's racket hit me. In the legs, the butt, the head, the back, everywhere. 20 years later, some of those bruises still remain. But I loved playing with Steve because of our camaraderie, the competition, and I felt sorry for him. That is, it was tough for him to find a game. Opponents got tired of wearing flak jackets. So I just got used to being peppered with his cannon-like blows on a regular basis, feeling at times like a goalie on a dart team. Steve was always a gentleman and apologized whenever he hit me, especially when he drew blood or made me cry. And the apologies seemed pretty sincere, though there was always a little, almost imperceptible, that's it, smirk on Steve's face whenever he attempted to be contrite. One day, when the assault on my body was particularly brutal, we were having a close match with both of... Do you know where I'm going? Yeah. When the assault on my body was particularly brutal, we were having a close match with both of us moving swiftly... I know it's hard to imagine now. Both of us moving swiftly around the court, scrambling to get to the ball, leading to long rallies on hard-fought points. The action was non-stop, interrupted only by pauses to clean up my blood and wipe my tears. And then it happened. A particularly hard-fought point went back and forth, shot after shot. I placed a good passing shot to Steve's left, but he somehow lunged for the ball and hit back to me in center court, where I planted my feet in a crouch of strength and self-defense. I placed the ball this time on the right side of the court with another good passing shot that I was certain my friend had no chance of returning. But I followed through with the shot and resumed my compact, crouched playing position as the ball caromed crisply off. Am I getting too detailed here? The ball caromed crisply off the front wall and headed down the right side wall. I thought the point was over, and as I faced the front wall, was surprised to hear the sound of what could only be described as the noise a small herd of buffalo might make, as Steve galoomped from the far left side of the court over towards the right side, where the ball was rebounding now off the front wall, parallel to the right side wall, almost passing me. That's when my brain went into slow-mo. In a fraction of a second, I could picture Steve lunging, racing desperately to get to the ball. I could feel him closing in on me. I could see him in my mind's eye, even with my gaze fixed squarely on the front wall, in case of another great return on his part. And then also, in that fraction of a second, in my mind's eye, I relived all the shots that bounced off me, the bruises, the pain, the smirks, and I instinctively deepened my crouch and stuck out my butt, all the while my gaze affixed on the front wall. And then, contact. He was on me, then over me, a human projectile headed for the sidewall. I raised up. He crumbled off the sidewall onto the floor. I was concerned, as I hadn't intended to kill my friend, merely to bruise him a bit. To my relief, he was still breathing. I offered a hand. He took mine as I lifted him off the floor. We shared a gaze. He had that same smirk going.
The one that you have now.
Nice hit, Shoney. That's all he said. That's it. I smirked him back, and we just went on with the game. I served, he hit me in the butt, we both smirked, and the games went on. And that's the end of the story. Thanks for the memory, Steve.
Very good. The short version is he hip checked me into the wall.
Yeah, but this was, here you go.
Very good.
In case you want to relive that moment.
Yeah.
I have the last 5 minutes of my
going.
life back.
Oh, that was very good. Very good. That was fun. And Larry knows that too, because I think, didn't I hit you on a follow through in the eye? Yeah. Okay.
Actually, all three of them.
Yeah.
Well, I think a couple other, thank you, Dr. Stone. I think a couple other people are going to speak as well, and I see where I got it, that, you know, silly little things like friendships can't get in the way of winning.
You step out on the court, that's it, you know? Right?
Can't handle the peace down in the kitchen.
Yeah.
So my dad's cousin and great friend, Harry Singer, would like to say a little something as well.
Where is he?
I've known Steve since he was born. Obviously, he was a lot bigger than this. But before I talk about Steve, I want to talk about the person that I most admire. This person has a good personality. He's quick. He's caring. Friendships are very important to him. Family is very important to him. And when I talk about this, I talk about someone else. So they say that the tree doesn't fall, the acorn doesn't fall very far from the tree. Steve is the acorn I was talking about, his father. And all those attributes that Abe had, Steve has. Now, one thing that we have in common is a grandfather. When my brother was getting married, they asked grandfather to come up and give a talk. And he introduced him as the man with 3 balls. And I looked and I, okay. When I went home, I said, Mom, is it true? What do you mean? And I explained. And my mother said, what do they have hanging outside of a pawn shop? 3 balls. Now again, all I can say about Steve, he's a cousin, he's a friend, and what else can you ask for?
Thank you. I believe Andy Kaluzna, who side since oh, you've known each other a while. So I think that you might like to say something.
Is this the podium?
It is.
You tell me worked really hard on this speech. My speechwriter helped me in the car. I've known Steve since 1978. We met, we used to have a mutual friend. And my late husband was Steve's best friend. And Steve was my husband's best friend. So MB asked me to say something because I'm one of Steve's oldest friends. He's much older than I am, but we date back to 1978. So, I thought, well, what can I say? I want to say something funny, but, Steve's got a great sense of humor, and what can I say that's going to be funny because Steve's funny. He is peculiar. And I thought, well, can I tell some stories to embarrass him? But, Steve takes care of embarrassing himself. As well as others. It's, you're proud. I remember when my husband Larry met Steve, I heard stories about him meeting him while he was in high school, and the mutual friend went to camp with Steve, an overnight camp, and camper shorts resonate. And my daughter said, "What are camper shorts?" And I said, I was thinking the same thing. I don't know what they are, but
They're just like these, except they have the little clip for your flashlight.
oh, okay. So when my kids think of Steve, we think of something that Steve invented and he has patented. It's a foot phone. I don't know how many of you have played, but the first time I met Shane, I think she had been in the U.S. for all of maybe 4 weeks, and I was having a foot issue, so I was sitting down on the couch trying to meet her, and I take off my shoes, take off my sock, and immediately she's got my foot to her ear playing foot phone. It was very endearing and charming, and she won my heart. That's you. That's yours. It must be Mickey Mouse.
Mickey Mouse.
So, Steve's got a great sense of humor. One of the things that he does that's always been amusing is that, he engages in some one-upmanship. Oh, I like your coat. I got the same one in leather. Nice ring. Yours is 14 karat. Oh, mine's 24. But Steve is very sensitive, and he keeps this under wraps. He's a very sensitive, compassionate, supportive, loving, loyal friend, and somebody who was so sensitive to my husband's feelings that when his mom was seriously ill, Steve asked me, maybe I should delay my vacation or not go on my vacation. And it's like, what? You would do that? You would think to be so generous and selfless, and it's a quality that he has. He was Larry's best friend. Larry was very, he was very selective. He wasn't easy to trust another friend, and he sought out Steve as somebody who he could use as a sounding board, somebody whose opinion he could trust, whose life experience and business experience was something that Larry had great respect for, which, coming from the king of plumbing, that's, it says a lot. They had common interests like cars and sports and fast cars. And the bottom line is that I feel very fortunate and blessed to have Mary Beth and Steve in my life, you know, I think that Steve made two really fabulous decisions. One is selecting Mary Beth. Another one is, you know, keeping me in his life when, you know, I was only his, you know, maybe, no, I won't even say second best friend, but it's just really wonderful that Steve is so available, appreciative, supportive, and loving to my family, and you know, we adore you. And you've been through trials and tribulations, and you have risen above, and you know, like a phoenix rising from the ashes of the adversities in life. And it's been wonderful to celebrate 36 years of, you know, triumphs, joys, pleasures, and life together. And it's also really nice that you have embraced my new boyfriend. Well, let's stop here. Love you.
Thank you very much. Stuart Friedman, who, you know, might be longer than I have. Yeah, another person.
Wait, am I gonna get billed for this or not? Okay.
I was just going to say that there's no charge.
Never,
That's why I'm keeping it.
it's never happened before.
I've shortened my remarks from 4 hours to a couple of minutes.
It's true.
Nancy and I collaborated on our thoughts for this special day. What can I tell you about my friend Stephen on his 60th birthday? First, I can tell you that I have known Stephen for half of his 60 years. Stephen became one of my first friends when we moved to Munster and has remained one of the dearest friends of my life. We have shared a lot with Stephen through the years. Births of our children, bar mitzvahs, weddings, turkey burgers, ice cream journeys in the Thunderbird, and lots of adventures along the way. Lots of adventures along the way. We have traveled with Mary Beth and Stephen and have seen the sights from Starved Rock to the Caribbean. How could we ever forget the day that Mary Beth and Nancy went hiking with the kids through the beautiful Starved Rock trails, while Stephen and I happily snored next to the fireplace in the lobby, or our Caribbean adventures, gliding through the rainforest in Dominica in an aerial tram, or that bouncy ride in a Jeep in Aruba when Stephen took the wheel and I held on for dear life. And then there was the eating and shopping, eating and shopping, eating and shopping. Well, you get the idea. Stephen is a guy who loves life, his wife, his kids, his dogs, his gadgets, sports, and yes, his beloved Thunderbird.
Mostly his dogs, though.
The car sits in our direct line of sight whenever we go to Mitchell's for ice cream. We are all required to sit at the sidewalk tables ready to pounce on anyone who comes too close to his prized possession. Stephen lives life with a boyish grin and mischief in his eyes. I don't think either of our sons will ever forget their teenage years when their voices were changing. Every time that one of them answered the phone when Stephen called, he would say, "Hello, Nancy." When Brian and Michael were babies, Brian could not pronounce Michael's name. He managed to say Guckle instead. To Michael's chagrin, Stephen has never let Michael forget it and calls him Guckle to this day. And what other friend always remembers all of our birthdays, always on the wrong day, just to get a laugh and be the first one with the birthday wishes? The Tempers are more than friends to us, they are extended family. We celebrate all our holidays together. Stephen never fails to ask Nancy if he can skip to service and just come directly for the meal. But we cannot imagine an important celebration without them. One of my favorite memories is the day Stephen and Mary Beth were married. During the ceremony, the rabbi asked the bride and groom to sign the marriage contract called the ketubah. What the rabbi never expected was that the groom would turn to his friend, the lawyer, that would be me, in the middle of the ceremony and say, "Is it okay if I sign this?" But that's our buddy Stephen. Stephen has a huge heart. He is someone who is always there for you, whether it is with the gigantic 2,000-pack box of Splenda that Nancy needs from Costco, or when life takes a more serious turn. I am honored to be sharing life's journey with him, and I know Nancy joins me in saying happy 60th birthday. We are looking forward to 60 more wonderful years ahead. Happy birthday, dear friend.
Does anybody else call you Stephen?
My mother, when I was in trouble,
He calls me Uncle Stuart, and I call him Stephen.
Excellent.
Is there anybody else who would like to share an embarrassing story or anything at all? Today I had the chance to, I had some time alone and was just thinking of things to say. And to be honest with you, they were pretty scattered and I would ramble for 15 minutes.
I don't know where you would have gotten that from.
Yeah, so I won't bore you with a lot of the stray, happy thoughts I had about the time I spent with my dad growing up and now. But I will say my dad knows that I'm notorious for giving gifts that are promises that I don't really keep, like going out for dinner but guess in front of all these people. So I'm 100% accountable. We're going to Vegas. So we're going in November. So think a weekend, and we're going. And it's going to be awesome.
Can I get the cash equivalent?
And yeah, again, I don't know. I have so many happy memories, and I was trying to weave them into a story that would be good for everybody, but I don't think they do it justice. So I don't know. Happy 60th birthday! I love you very much.
Yes, I just want to say that those of us who are friends are very lucky.
No, I'm the lucky one.
We're lucky.
Yeah. That's exactly right. Exactly right. Well, based on everything I've heard, I think the one person that has me down to a T is, I don't know about all this nice stuff, but Joel's got me down.
I feel a little bad now. It's a nice thing.
What everyone else said, it was really nice to hear this and that and all, but everything that you said, I get, yeah, I did that, yeah.
We can relate to yours.
I have to say one thing. I just have to tell you, Steve, I really admire your relationship with your dogs. You dogs are just the sweetest, and you're just so kind to them.
As I said, I'll say it again, I like my kids, but I love my dogs. Sorry, that's how it is. You know where you're right.
Yeah, right. I hear that from your dad all the time.
Yeah.
It's those dogs. They're the best.
It's true. Yeah.
Really?
I have one thing to say, but there's one other person that we need to hear from. But Steve, I measure people by the companions that they choose to be around, and you have some wonderful friends, as exhibited here tonight. And I thank them all for being here and helping you celebrate your big 60. And it's wonderful to be here with you to do that.
Happy everything?
Happy everything.
I choose very good friends, but I have a wonderful wife, and I really appreciate that she puts up with me. and she put this together. And I've told some of you this, and it's true. I lost my mother at a very early age, and I have no doubt that she sent Mary Beth down to turn me into a human being. It's maybe like 60% there, maybe 40, but that's it in a nutshell.
Just one quick story about Steve. You know, I mean, he's really a good-hearted person, and it manifests itself in a whole variety of ways. One of the things that I remember is we had gone on a vacation, and Karen has this habit of taking hundreds of pictures, and then every time she keeps on erasing them. Well, the memory card can take so much record and erase. So when we came from the trip, most of the pictures had disappeared from the memory card. So we really scratched our heads in terms of what we could do. I tried some things, didn't work out, and then I remembered, we have Mr. Gadget. So we called Steve, and he said, I'll come to your home, you know, maybe there needs to be a program that needs to be purchased. So we did that, and he restored most of those pictures. And so I said, okay, Mr. Gadget, you got that program. So thank you, Steve.
Well, you're supposed to take me on a cruise for that. And I was gonna make sure that that never happened again.
Right. Yeah, I mean, he gave a whole bunch of advice in terms of we should be having a backup, and we should upload it to the, well, it wasn't cloud at that time, to hard drive. But all in all, it really made our vacation come alive again. So,
and I
thanks
always
again.
travel with a second camera card now, thanks to you, Steve. But I do want to just comment on what Perry said about your wonderful father. And I have to dispute what Stuart said about remembering people's birthdays on the wrong days. Because Steve always remembers my birthday because it was the same birthday as his dad.
Right.
And that has always touched my heart. So I was glad to hear what you said about Steve's wonderful father, and I'm honored to share.
And it's also my half birthday.
Thank you, thank you.
Yeah?
It is.
That's right, happy.
Yeah, we're both 16th, so I never forget Steve's birthday either. I'm February 16th, and Steve, his birthday is my half birthday, so that's another.
This has been the highlight birthday because my 23rd birthday, Elvis ruined that, because that's when he died. Ruined it, anyway.
It wasn't a great day for him either.
He didn't have to ruin mine.
Shannon, don't drink it yet.
Any consolation?
Yeah, well, once again, I'm gonna have to give you the nod on this.
You don't like it, you didn't like Elvis, what's the big deal?
Sure I did. But I didn't like that he ruined my birthday, so.
I just had a vision when Nancy said about Steve's relationship with dogs. I don't know what made me think of it. When Steve set up our computer, however many years ago it was, at our house, I came home, and what was on the screensaver? Bagels. It's still on the desktop.
Yeah. Yeah. My Goldens are still with.
I can fix that.
Josh is on the screensaver now, but Bagels is still on the desktop.
Yeah.
I have something quick to say, and that is, I think Carrie said it for most of what we wanted to say, but I think it's great to have family that's also friends, and we love Mary Beth, and we love the kids, and when we're around the boys and Steve, it's just like being with your dad again, and that dry, tempered sense of humor is so special. There's just nothing